Hi, this is Aaron from Inside the Skev. I hope you enjoy this next episode. If you want to listen live, tune in Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. to WCGO. That's 95.9 FM, 1590 AM, or WCGOradio.com. Facebook Live at WCGO's page and Inside the Skev. To learn more about this great town and what I do, go to skevinston.com, and you could always contact me at aaron@skevinston.com. Now sit back and listen to this one message from one of our supporters, and we'll start the show.
Reading, writing, and math are a struggle for a lot of students. At BrainLinks, we know those skills are what paves the way to independence and success. Our specialists will help your child develop the habits they need to make sure they thrive not only in class, but out in the world in general. And of course, for everyone's safety, our lessons are done completely online. For more information on our team members and to schedule your initial consultation, visit brainlinksacademics.com. That's brainlinksacademics.com.
Welcome to Inside the Skev. I'm your host, Aaron Masliansky. And today we are here with Tchao, who's a filmmaker here in Evanston. And we are going to be speaking about her new film, Hayden and Her Family. Really excited about speaking with May about the new film and about her career and about her previous film. So very, very interesting. Later on in the show, we're going to be speaking with Carolyn Murray and Commander Jason Gardner from the Evanston Police Department, talking about the Amnesty gun buyback event that's going to be taking place on December 5th. So it's a great show. Stick around. Great information here regarding the community. And we're going to learn about the world and about a really amazing family. And before we start speaking with May, I just hope that everyone's doing well. Obviously, this is a trying time, but we had Thanksgiving this week. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday and were able to find what they're grateful for this week. But really appreciate you all tuning in and listening to the show today. So May, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Aaron. Hi, everybody. Thanks for inviting me. I'm honored.
Well, it's a real pleasure. And I want to thank Len Joy, who's been on the show before. Len's an author. He's a really, really interesting person and knows some great people. So thank you, Len. I hope you're listening today. But May, I mean, I got to watch your films. They were really thought-provoking. I watched them with my family, and it was really meaningful, and I really appreciate you making these films. You know, if you could tell the listeners and viewers here just a little bit about your new film, Hayden and Her Family.
In 2014, met this unusual family. So the family lives in Evanston, and they have 7 children. They're biological children, and they adopted 5 special needs orphans from 2 from Vietnam and 3 from China. At that point of time, I'm just wondering what possessed them to do that. I thought that was so interesting, because usually people adopt children because when they cannot have children of their own,
right,
or they try to do something good, or they want to change some people's lives. There's so many motivations for doing that. But having 7 kids with a handful, and you still want to adopt 5, that is so unusual. So this family, I asked permission to follow them, and they let me, after the long consideration, they decided to allow me to do that. And in the course of 6 years, when I first started the film, I finished the film in 6 years. So in the film itself, you can see the transformation of these kids and the family itself, because this is a big undertaking.
Massive.
And yeah. And obviously, I think for myself as a filmmaker, it's a human interest story. And that's actually happening in my own backyard in Evanston. And it makes it a lot easier to follow them day in, day out for all this time.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's it was really helpful that you had the time to be able to follow their story. And you get it condensed into the period of the film, but you really get to understand the story, and you can see from when the family is smaller, just with the biological kids
Yes.
and a couple adopted children, to as they grow and they go to China and they get all the more children, and specifically children with some special needs. And they have such wonderful open hearts, just to be able to take everyone in and what they're doing. So it's really fascinating in that way. And how did you get introduced to them?
Actually, through my church. We belong to the same church, First Presbyterian Church of Evanston.
Okay.
And I don't know the family, that well. I saw this little child. Her name is Hayden, and she obviously had some special needs because of her cranial deformity. But she was so self-assured and, self-possessed and funny and all that stuff. And, in children's hour, they sit in front of the pews. And I was so curious, like, who does this child belong to? And obviously, she looks like she's adopted. And I finally get to introduce to the Curry family. And we develop a relationship, and, till I got the permission to be inside the home and follow them around. See, the way I envision this film is I'm like the what do you call they call it fly on the wall.
Yeah, you're a fly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Inside the house. You don't
just
see
witnessing
me.
It.
Yeah, just observing everything that's going on. And so that's about 4 or 5 years of observation in how they change, how they grow, what's going on in this family.
I always wonder, as a filmmaker, when you're, doing a story about, nonfiction, you're in the family, do you think that they react differently with a crew being there, or do you think that they got to be comfortable with you there and almost don't realize it, like a reality TV show in a way?
Most of the time, at first, everything was very cordial. Obviously they are aware of our presence, but later on they get used to it. However, in the film, there's a bit of a crisis during the second time around when they went back to China to adopt the latest children. The family was going through quite a bit of crisis. And I don't think the mother wanted us to be there. And she actually yelled at the videographer to say, hey, go to a corner and, and sit there quietly. I don't want to be followed. I mean, there's something like that. And also for 6 months, I cannot film them because they are going through something. And as a filmmaker, I respect that. And I just let them come back. For a little while, I was really worried whether they're going to abort the film, and that is a lot of time spent.
Absolutely. That's a lot of stress to put on you, that, oh my God, like, I don't even know if I could put this out. And I've worked 6 years on this, or maybe not at that point.
Yeah, but I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that they allowed their story to be told. And actually, that is true. It's not my story, it's their story. And they are kind and generous enough to share it with the world, to show what is parenting about, what's family about, what it means to reach out to other children, and what it means that, in the adoption world, every child has a home, their forever family. I think that puts a lot of weight into those meanings. And even I myself is transformed in learning all these things about humanity.
Yeah, I think that there's some special people out there that can do what the Currys do. I mean, it's just such a tremendous, I would say in some ways sacrifice, because it doesn't seem like they're a very wealthy family, but yet they have so many, and they have so much love that they want to be able to help the world. part of it, I think, is, from the sense that, the wife, the mother of the family, she started with a small family, for herself growing up, and she wanted to have a larger family.
Yes.
But I think it's just a lot of selflessness there, to be able to help people who, would likely be looked at like, why do you want them? Because they have challenges, but they are such wonderful children that they're able to help and give them a life.
Yeah, I think she wants to emphasize that the motivation is not like, see how good I am, doing good. It's
Right.
like, hey, I can love these children. I have the capacity to do it. And therefore, she reached out to them. And I thought one writer and a psychologist said something really profound about people when they're good at doing something. Like if you're a writer, you're so good at writing that you want to do more. And for the Currys, they're so good at claiming these children, and providing them a family. They're so good at being parents. They want to do more. And that's why they extend themselves. So in that respect, I really respect that. We all wish we can do something that good,
Absolutely. Later today, you're going to be having a Q&A, where it's going to be with the family, with yourself. And it's at 4:00 Central Time. And if people want to go and sign up to watch the film and to be part of the Q&A, there's a website, bit.ly/Watch Hayden. So again, that's bit.ly/Watch Hayden, Hayden. And you could find out more about all that. We're going to come back after the break. We're going to talk about, I really want to delve into this. And I was saying before we started, I could spend an hour on just learning about how you became a filmmaker and talking about your previous film. And later on, we'll talk a little bit more about Hayden and her family. But just before we go, if you could let everyone know, what is your website if they want to learn more about you during the break?
Okay, my website is Hayden and her family, all spelled out, haydenandherfamily.com.
haydenandherfamily.com.
And so in the screening, there is a link to today's also, right. So if they
everyone
want to
stick around here, and we'll be right back right after the break. Hi, I'm Aaron Masliansky, longtime Skokie and Evanston resident, host of Inside the Skev, and local real estate expert. As a community connector and realtor with Dreamtown Realty in downtown Evanston, I know firsthand what makes the Skev such an amazing place to live. When I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties inside of the Skev or out, I'm doing it with the best technology and support team behind me at Dreamtown. During the pandemic, I've been able to help my clients seamlessly stay on track with their home search. From immersive 3D Matterport tours, professional photos, to virtual open houses, my clients can find their homes safely and comfortably, and even from their couch. When you're ready to make a move, know that I'll be here to help. You can always find out more about me at skevinston.com/real estate. Again, that's skevinston.com/real estate, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com. Welcome back to Inside the Skev, everyone. This is Aaron Masliansky speaking with Tchao, and we're talking about her new film, Hayden and Her Family, and her background as a filmmaker. And just as a reminder, if you want to sign up for her Q&A and watch the film, go to bit.ly/Watch Hayden, and that Q&A today is at 4:00. So please sign up. And also, if you want to listen to any of the previous episodes of Inside the Skev and learn more about the show, you can find that on any podcast player by searching Inside the Skev, or go to skevinston.com. But I would, really want to talk to May about her background in getting into filmmaking. You didn't start as a filmmaker, right? This is something a little bit new for you, but how did that come about? Tell us about the story.
Yeah, okay, first off, I'm an immigrant. I came from Hong Kong, and I came here for college. And then I had a full career in advertising. I was in the business for 30 plus years. And then in around 2010, I decided my kids went off to college, and I decided that this is my time to do something I've always wanted to do, is to make a film about women in China. Personally, I came from a Chinese culture that is gender biased. I mean, just culturally it is. And I find that since Mao Zedong said women hold up half the sky, that means, equality, quote unquote. Is that true? And what my life has been had I stayed in China. So I went back to China and, had a crew there and made a film called Spilled Water. Like you spill the water out on the sidewalk. And that took me about 4 years and a couple of trips into China to do that. And then I discovered something remarkable, that some women are really liberated, especially the ones in the city. But there's a big discrepancy between rural women and small town women, and they are still under the gender bias culture, the yoke of, because they have less opportunity to get educated. They cannot own property. They had to stay home to help the family farm, especially families at that time. The men all went to the small town for factory works, and so the women had to stay back and farm the land. So that is something really interesting to me. So propaganda is not something you should just believe, because that's the propaganda of Mao.
Right.
And then later.
Yeah, I mean, it was so interesting to see the differences in Spilled Water of the women, like you said, like the executive women in the larger cities. They have a global life. Their children are in schools in the United States. And then you have this woman who's a singer who lives in a rural community, and her husband, made her life miserable because she would leave and not take care of his family and everybody else and everybody else there, the extended family. And you can't even reach her at this point, right?
Yeah, because they live far away in the mountains. It's very remote. I also don't have the capability to communicate in Chinese in terms of writing. Mm-hmm. I think one of the thing about that in all kinds of our relationship, our global communication with the world, the US global communication, we have to understand culture, because sometimes we need to understand the culture in order to go deeper in terms of establishing certain policies or understanding. I think in the world of gender politics, I think it is paramount responsibility for the women to be responsible for their parents, their in-laws, for a lot of things. And therefore, they themselves had always put emphasis on the education of the male, of the son. All the hopes and dreams from the parents are laid on the son. So they got the first dip on everything. I think things may be changing. It is changing slowly, especially, after the one-child policy. But now it is back to normal, two-child policy. So things are changing all the time in China.
It's a different type of society, even just saying one-child policy, two-child policy, and just the amount of control that they have in their society over individual freedom. So it's something to appreciate about the United States, where you can choose how many children you want to have. And to go back to Hayden and her family, if you want to have a family of 15 people, you can.
Yes.
And that's your right to choose. If you want to have 0, you can. The films that you do are serious. I think that they have a lot of great meaning, and I think that these are films that people should watch. And like I said, I'd love to get into more about the background and how you learned how to do film after being in advertising for so long, and some of the partnerships that you must have created in order to make that happen. But hopefully people can go to the Q&A today at 4 and ask you some more about that. Yeah. One thing is, though, if people want to watch Spilled Water, where can they go to find that?
They can go to my website called spillwaterdoc.com. And in the watching panel, there is a direct link to vimeoondemand.com, for the film. So if you go to the website, you can be able to easily find that. Yeah.
One thing is that I'll just mention here, it's so interesting. I've spoken with a lot of filmmakers, not only for Inside the Skev, but for the JCC. And you could watch all those interviews that I've done. If you go to skevinson.com, there's a button for JCC interviews. And it's interesting to talk to filmmakers about how you publicize a film nowadays during the time of COVID. And I think it's very cool that you're able to do this virtually today. And we're going to come back after the break. We're going to talk more about Hayden and her family, and just get into it a little bit more, and maybe talk a little bit more about your background in film. But stick around, and we'll be back here in just a few moments. So thanks everyone for listening.
In 2020, mortgage rates reached record lows. If you see homeownership in your future, the future is now. Beth Lewis at Cross Country Mortgage has the options and advice you need to find the perfect loan program for you. She'll get you pre-approved to give you an advantage over other buyers, and she'll close your loan quickly with a highly efficient process driven by advanced mortgage technology. Visit BethLewisTeam.com to get started. That's BethLewisTeam.com. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Equal housing opportunity. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee.
Welcome back to Inside the Skev. This is Aaron here, and we are with Tchao, filmmaker, Evanston resident, and just a very cool person. So we've been talking about her film, Hayden and Her Family. Today at 4 o'clock, there's going to be a Q&A with her and the family. And you can sign up to watch the film and to be part of the Q&A at bit.ly/watchhayden. Again, that's bit.ly/watchhayden. So thanks everyone for coming back. And, just want to talk a little bit more. We were talking about your background in film, and, I want to talk more about Hayden and her family as well, but I just want to know, how did you learn the technical things of what to do to produce a film? What were some of the places that you went? Did you go back to school, or how did that happen?
Yeah, I as a creative person in the advertising business, and I produce a lot of television commercials. I mean, I did not produce it, but I have other people to produce them. Mm-hmm. And so I understand the process. But in terms of being a producer on your own film, you have to know a lot of things. So I took a lot of classes at Chicago Filmmakers, which is like a wonderful not-for-profit organization that teachers to teach you different aspects of production in shooting, editing, even writing grants. Also at Columbia, I took classes at night, adult education classes kind of thing. And I even have to relearn my Chinese. I took language class because I don't know how to speak Mandarin. In order to communicate, I have to, so I took 5 years of that. So during the course of time preparing for the production, I've been taking classes. And then as I, grow more accustomed to the idea of producing the film, which is, it's also in trepidation, I make a lot of network with the film world. For example, Katankum Films in Chicago is well known for its support of filmmakers, independent filmmakers. They provide resources, counseling. So I tapped into that network, and I met a lot of other filmmakers. And it's usually when you embark on something, it's always like one thing leads to another, lead to another.
Yep.
And so that's how we kind of get that synergy going, get into a network, get into collaborators, and in different stages of production, from filming to post-production to music, you just need the support of all these people. And of course, you need support from funders.
Yeah, that's really the key thing, right?
Yeah. So I am very blessed and thankful for having all these elements that come together. And somebody asked me, how did I produce Stillwater in China? I didn't bring a crew of my own, because I know China is very stringent in other people doing films on their turf. I met a producer in China through all these network, and I contacted him, and then he provided me a crew in China. They're Chinese, and that's how we did the filming in Stillwater.
That must have been very, very helpful, just also in terms of language, with speaking with the people that you had on film.
Yes.
And you inserted yourself. You were in the film talking to the people. How was that experience for you? Do you like being in the films?
No, I was very uncomfortable to make. This film is about these people, the women, not about me. But in Katemkun Films lab, in one of their the evaluation, they said I should put myself in as a threat to all these stories, which I decided to do that. And
well, it worked very well, because you start with your mother, who lives in Seattle, and came here, and I think it's like a continuation of it. I think it was very helpful to have you in the film. But Chicago filmmakers, and just going to night school and doing different things, I think it's interesting, because for some people, they think, well, I'm stuck in a rut. Like, this is what I do and that's it. But what's amazing about the world today, if you want to look at the silver lining, is that you could learn just about anything. You don't have to go to a full college program. You don't have to be like in your 20s in order to be able to learn something. You could do something later on in your career, especially now. I mean, Chicago filmmakers, they have all their classes online because of the pandemic. My daughter took a class in filmmaking. I've taken a couple classes with them too, on audio and about film production, just to learn more about it. And it's just the world is your oyster. And then
exactly. Yeah. And they also put you in touch with a whole wide network of other filmmakers that you can, pull projects together. I think that's very valuable. Yeah.
It's incredibly valuable. And then they could work as a fiscal sponsor. And and then just you tie that to the rest of the media landscape. You got Spilled Water on PBS, right? I mean, it's been on TV.
Yeah.
How did that work?
When I was screening in the Gene Siskel Center, one of my collaborators brought in the I would say the head guy in the WTTW Chicago, and he loves the film, and he asked, we kind of dance a little bit, and he wants to put the film on PBS. And a lot of times I think this is also a good film for International Women's Month, just like Hayden, this month is called National Adoption Month. So, Hayden is in an appropriate time. It taps into all the right media, like you said, into promoting them. And Spillwater tap into the International Women's Month. So that was wonderful. And then I also sent out the film to KQED out of San Francisco, and they too also broadcast it. So I'm very thankful for those opportunities. As a filmmaker, there's so many filmmakers now, especially everything is going online. You do want your passion projects. I consider them my passion projects because nobody put a gun in my head. You want that to be seen. You want your voice to be heard. And Gordon Quinn, the head of Katemkun Films, said it really well. He said, your film is your voice, your opinion, and your worldview. and I embrace that. I am very interested in human interest stories. I'm not an activist, or a journalist, but I think that really portray us another part of humanity that you don't know. And I think that sort of interests me. Yeah.
How have you grown as a person by doing film?
Oh, man. In terms of a person, I really feel like I should be less judgmental about people. I should open my eyes. Like these women in China, they are not country bumpkins. They are real people. They all have a story to tell. Yeah. In the Hayden story, it shows the complexity of adoption. It's not people walking into the rainbow, after they found a family,
Absolutely
it's
not.
challenging. It's challenging enough to be parents, and to be parents of so many kids. That's amazing. So it helped me to be a better parent.
Yeah, no, and I can imagine that people see this giant family walking in, and kids that look like they may not be part of the biological family, and there's a lot of questions that people may have. I can imagine that's what it was like in the church, and people would know about them because it's unusual. But I think, was that one of your inspirations for making this film, in order to be able to say, like, this is a great example of opening people's eyes up to the real story behind what you see?
Yeah. I think it's about humanity. And it gives us hope. When we look at people are not a statistic, like all these people dying in COVID, they're just a statistic. But behind every COVID victim, there's a story. And I think that's what I'm interested in. That is so true in documentary, I think, because it is not about a plot, it's not about glamour, it's about really revealing the truth and that allow people to see it. One of my heroes is Michael Apted, and he did the 7 series. He's a British documentarian. He shot a group of people every 7 years, from when they were 7 years old to now. I think you probably heard of that. It's called 7 Up. Yeah. And it's amazing to follow these kind of stories. And he has the patience and the tenacity to do that.
It is quite amazing to see that, and to kind of see, because it's not where it's a plot where it has to fit a certain script. You're actually seeing it. One of my favorite shows to watch is PBS Frontline. And
yes.
Then you're really seeing the real story behind things, and they can blow you away. It's hard sometimes to watch, but I think it's important for us as humans to know the stories. I could talk to you all day for sure. I'd love to.
Same here. I really appreciate the opportunity, and thank you so much, Aaron.
It's my pleasure. And everyone, please, if you want to learn more, go to bit.ly/watch Hayden. Again, that's bit.ly/watch Hayden. And you can watch the film today. You can be part of the Q&A at 4:00 Central Time. Coming up after the break, we're going to be talking about the Amnesty gun buyback program. But everybody, please stick around. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And let's keep in touch.
Moving day is a happy day, but how can you be sure all of your stuff will get to the new place in the same condition they left the old place? Upgrade your experience to First Class Moving and Storage. You'll get a team of professionals who treat all of your belongings with care and have the right tools to make the job go smoothly. They even offer a full packing service. Upgrade to First Class Moving and Storage. They're local and independently owned. For more info, visit the website at firstclassmovers.com. That's the number 1, stclassmovers.com.
Welcome back to Inside the Sched. This is Aaron here, and we are now sitting with Carolyn Murray and Commander Jason Garner from the Evanston Police Department. And we're going to talk about the Amnesty gun buyback event that's going to be taking place on December 5th. The Evanston Police are going to be partnering with the Evanston Community Foundation, the Christ Temple Missionary Baptist Church, and Carolyn Murray. So want to thank you both for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you. And thank you for doing this program. I mean, I think it's such a problem we have with violence, and, guns can certainly can be an issue. And then it's helpful to get them off the streets. So Carolyn, tell us a little bit, where and when is it?
It's this Saturday at Christ Temple Church. It starts at 12 o'clock, anytime between 12 and 4. You can come in. Please wear your mask and have your weapon unloaded and operable. And this area goes into Evanston, Skokie, and the north side of Chicago.
Okay.
You'll get $100 cash.
$100 cash to bring back a gun. I think that's a pretty good deal. Get it off the streets. And, how are you involved with the program? How did it start and whatnot?
Well, Aaron, 8 years ago, I lost my son, Justin Murray.
I'm sorry.
To gun violence. He was actually killed down the street from the high school, 2 blocks from my home. He had just returned from San Diego. He went to San Diego to go to school. So he was coming back for what would have been a holiday break. During that time, I was actually working on a gun buyback because we had a high fatality that year. I think we had almost 4 homicides in Evanston back in 2012. My son had given me input from the young kids in the Evanston area on what would make them feel comfortable turning in a gun. So there was actually an event that he helped put together before he had went to California. So after he was killed and I was still working on the project, it became that much more meaningful to me in order to have this be successful. Yeah. I reached out to then the Illinois State Commander, Terry Lemming, and he gave me information on some of the gun buybacks that they were having in Chicago. But the thing that was different about the one we did in Evanston initially 8 years ago in December, we offered cash because most of the people that we spoke with, they wanted the immunity. That was the most important aspect of turning in a gun, not feeling like the police were going to come back and arrest them or their information was going to be released. So that was one of the incentives that we heard from the community, and it made it very successful then.
Yeah. How many guns do you plan to get off the streets this week?
Oh, we average at least 30 to 40 in each event. If it's successfully promoted and people are aware of it, because we want those guns off the street, the guns that we see typically in homicides and gun violence situations. But during this time of year, guns could be stolen, guns could be used in suicides. So overall, as a community effort to end gun violence in every aspect.
Yeah, no, it's especially now in the time of a pandemic, and you talk about suicide. People can be very depressed. So it's not just homicides. You're right. You got to think about it fully of what guns represent. Commander Gardner, so people will not be questioned, right, when they bring back the guns, or how do you?
Correct. Our focus is to make people as comfortable as possible to come in to turn in unwanted firearms. And so we definitely will not be conducting any questioning or interrogations, that's for sure. Our biggest priority is getting as many people to participate as possible and getting the guns turned over safely.
Yeah. And where's the funding, by the way, coming for purchasing the guns back?
Interesting enough that when my son Justin was killed, the outreach for the community to want to have this program prevail. So collectively, during that time, it was North Shore Evanston Hospital and Northwestern University. And there were people that called me all throughout the nation to donate money to the Evanston Community Foundation. So some of the money wasn't originally donated back in 2012 when my son was killed. So some of them was just in honor of Justin, and other citywide companies that we have here, organizations that we have here, donated money as well.
I love that the communities is really behind this and supporting what you're doing, because I think it is so important. Violence is just it breaks apart community. This show here is all about community, what you do, the churches and everything else. So whatever we can do to support the community, I think that people should spread the word about this event and bring the guns in. What happens to the guns after they're brought in, by the way?
I believe that they're transported to a state location where they're destroyed, but maybe Commander Gardner can elaborate a little bit on that. I know that was what the briefing that I received prior to for so many years.
So we'll make sure the firearms are safe, and then we'll take custody of them and transport them back to the police department. And eventually they'll be turned over to a vendor for destruction.
Okay. And are you able to track anything to know if they were in crimes, the guns, at one point?
We won't do any analysis or anything. Again, the focus is to get the guns off the street. So obviously we have to have a record of inventory at the police department and so forth. But, our focus is just trying to positive community intervention to get as many guns off the street as possible.
All right, that's the key. Well, I'm sorry that we have to, I would love to talk to you both a lot longer, but our show is going to be ending. But just to remind everybody, where and when is the event?
Christ Temple Missionary Baptist Church, 1711 Simpson, Saturday, December 5th from 12 to 4 p.m.
Okay. If you know people with guns, this is a great opportunity to make a little money, get some guns off the street, and make Evanston and the surrounding area a safer place. Thanks for listening to this latest episode of Inside the Skev. To listen live, tune in Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. to WCGO. That's 95.9 FM, 1590 AM, WCGOradio.com, or you can go to Facebook Live on WCGO's page or Inside the Skev. If you want to learn more about this great neighborhood or what I do, go to skevinston.com. And I want to thank every supporter of the show and all my listeners. Thanks so much.